Hey you guys, it's MJ from IUNPLUG. I just wanted to quickly do a little video update. It's January 20th today, and I'm aware that astrologically we're in a fairly dynamic phase of planetary alignment regarding like a movement forward in a certain projected energetic vision of new paradigm. So I just talked about this in the live share for today, but our stepping into free energy, our grounding into sovereignty, which is a very clear fixed point in one's consciousness of their creatorship vision, what you hold in your heart for your life, like really beautiful, simple, engaged, connected, having cleansed through and worked through enough of the fear programming and the judgment programming around our habits and inclinations, and to really liberate ourselves when it comes to our inner dialogue ultimately. And it's a permission here to really love the totality that you are without shame, and that requires us to often work through the shame and like burn through it, but at the end or the truth from within the self is that working through that shame and working through that guilt ultimately liberates us to make choices that are in alignment with the truth of our knowing. And then the truth of the knowing is ultimately sometimes goes against the whole collective agreement of good and bad and right and wrong. Hence manifestation is really the kind of authenticity, the standing in the truth of your knowing and shining that into the field, versus all of those inner conflicts that we might have toward ourselves that could potentially limit us. Whenever we're in these kind of potent energy phases, in my own physical reality, I often feel like a wave of residue effect. So like old patterns come back, old fears emerge, like very very tangibly. We will like go over our self-love stuff, we will go over our body image stuff, we'll go over our finance stuff, we'll go over therefore our self-worth and our abundance. It's funny as well because I've always had sort of a difficulty in my awareness to compartmentalize, and yet I recognize that as a tool for people to actually like intellectually understand and work with this stuff, that the for me pull everything right back into love. And like really it is like, it's like the love within self that I know in a tangible way has outworked control patterns and fear patterns around the body, and still in my consciousness field still working with the residue of those patterns, of those memories, as those trauma embedded cellular cycles within the self, and then rising up into that clearer vision, that ownership vision, that truth of our desired apparition in this kind of holographic reality, and yet anchored in a natural, I want to say biorhythm. It's a, and yet natural is unique to each and one of us because it's dependent on our entire soul's journey into this earth realm, and then how we are desiring that evolutionary recycling to birth itself in what we call the new, the tangible, visceral aspect of living in these bodies, but not under the confines of the prison shackles of what we've all called the system or the matrix. That is an illusion of our creation via the spectrum of separation consciousness, which has its function in the evolution of the beings endeavoring that as a soul story, as a soul growth choice, to evolve the light quotient of the soul itself, to embody a greater capacity of co-creative energy dynamics in this galaxy, as it were. Solar system, galaxy, the universal operations. The birth point is very dependent on our signature. The majority of beings that resonate with this communication are indeed beings of like a peaceful, a desired calm, a sacred geometry evolution. Separation consciousness is really are always a fractaled state. It's not right or wrong, because fractaled state just means an aspect, it's still an aspect of that piece, and yet there's a fractaled state through some desired almost game. There is a game at work. This has only recently come through to me in the last like day or two. It's accessing a consciousness field I'd either forgotten about or it was dormant to me, but it's super duper playful. It's a super, yeah, just playful energy. So there's like this part of me like wanting to remind and remember this essence, this playfulness, and yet it can only come through our playing and us like remembering that as like an elixir. And this is actually why sex and body shame, so proper sex is pure joy, pure bliss, pure ecstasy, but I'm getting a real sense of like that's partly why having a beloved and having a trusted sexual connection without the entanglements of codependency via money, neediness, love, whatever those trigger patterns are kind of triggering out of one another. At some point when we come into the sovereignty of self, there's a great amount of responsibility around our sexuality, and then like personal play and sexuality is actually a part of our ability to harness a deeper attunement to the understanding of sexual energy as some of the most potent creative manifestation energy, because of the way the energy is focusing in on topics and or visions that the unified field body has in store for the quantum field. Okay, I think that's it for today. Thank you for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed today's share. There's a lot of like residue feedback stuff coming through today, and so I'm gonna look at all that. I'm gonna love it massive. There's just as a tool and an offering from the heart space for all y'all. There's a real growth in our ability to like lean into the past projections, lean into those past suffering patterns, lean into like that, maybe they're wanting to run away, or they're wanting to like go back into self-disgust, or go back into shittiness, like it never happens for me, dreams don't come true, like all that. And so looking at the kind of childhood trauma patterns and just seeing them for what they are, holding the pattern in like a grace and kind of loving gratitude, shining light and pulling in any relevant energies, i.e. people, and then just really being firm in the thought frequency of what you're creating, and like firm in also like the deep belief that you have for the self, that you have for yourself. So you guys, I love you loads. I'm looking forward to sharing more with you. Again, I said this in my last video, but thank you so much for those of you who have pre-ordered Spirituality Simplified. I'm really looking forward to sharing this material with you. It's sort of like after publishing the book and realizing the depth and the profundity and also the efficacy of people who are sitting the Fearless Life Guide, Spirituality Simplified is just an additional tool, based on the last like 2.5 years since publishing the Fearless Life Guide. Now there's like these online courses that in like bite-sized chunks can help you access different aspects of yourself, broaden your like spiritual horizons, but of course from this really like loving, non-judgy, all to love perspective. So once we launch this, then I'll be moving on to creating All to Vegan Love. There's already like a waiting list for that one, although like as many people can sit it as we want, but we've got quite a nice waiting list for the All to Vegan Love course. And again, those of you who have pre-ordered Spirituality Simplified, I just want to say thanks, because the last course I was creating with Katie Finch and Team Love, this course was much more just me, and so your guys's getting your guys's payments in, like seeing that you guys are like buying the course is making me like, come on, Molly, come on, keep going. It's just like when I wrote the book, you know, and every day after like 4 to 8 hours of writing, every day was just the end of each step, each chapter being like, just keep going. I don't know if you guys have ever read or written a book. There's moments where you're just like, holy shit, like, do I ever finish it? I'm not sure. And I'm actually like literally just starting to edit week 5, and Team Love's editor is now taking the footage from week 1 to 4 and starting to work with the writing. And in fairness, what is there, like 10 days, 11 days before we launch it, before it goes live? So again, the pre-orders coming through daily are like little ding, keep editing, keep going. And I gotta say, I'm really chuffed and excited about, there's 4 big like special guest interviews in Spirituality Simplified, and they're all really diverse and kind of talking about different things, but I'm just like, I'm pleased with how like intuitive and organic it's all been. And like, and then now that I'm like actually creating the kind of final footage, I'm just like, wowzers, this is a fantastic piece of work. Not to toot my own horn or anything, but I'm just, you know, as I continue to pioneer an online business, I'm just pleased with the products that we're creating. And actually from within myself, after this really extended, almost 20-year kind of alienating spiritual journey that I've been on, it's really nice to kind of, all these years later, come out the other side of it, have this online business, have these products, have this like 10-year of like positive yoga, meditation, and like really self-affirming practices, and then be able to kind of deduce them and work it out in my mind, and then share with you the kind of the nuggets, you know, the end, the results of all of this inner work and this practice, so that you guys can just cut through the bullshit and get straight into yourself, get straight into your access point. So yeah, I am looking at my reflection right now in the phone and being like, I've definitely got to go do some self-love. I'm having a lot of residue come up right now. So I just want to send you guys loads of heart love vibration, and then give that back to myself, because I can feel like I really need it. And have an awesome day, you guys. I hope that that intuitive energy update was useful to you. If it doesn't resonate, just leave it behind. Otherwise, hit subscribe.